Chapter 61. Ghost Face Mask. Oh, aren't the righteous and the devil always hostile? How could they join forces? Kang Qian was surprised. That's because the practices of the corpse-catching sect are unbearable. They manipulate corpses and train them to become zombies. They need a large source of corpses, especially those corpses that were powerful before their bodies. In order to get these powerful corpses, they often went to dig up other people's ancestral graves, and even the ancestral shrines of other sects in the cultivation world, causing the cultivation world to be filled with grievances. And in the end, the righteousness and devilishness departs had to join hands to exterminate this evil sect. Emperor Dan didn't seem to have any good feelings towards this corpse-catching sect either, and his words were laced with hatred. What? Your old man has a bond with them as well? Kang Qian asked curiously. Scram, brat. How do you talk? The hell, there is a fate with them. Emperor Dan smiled and cursed, then muttered. Kang Qian's face darkened for a while, still listening to him. It turned out that Emperor Dan's ancestral tomb had also been patronized by the experts of the corpse-catching sect, provoking him to finally uproot one of the strongholds of the corpse-catching sect. Before finding the old ancestor's corpse, Kang Qian sweated in his heart. It was no wonder that the corpse-catching faction ended up being exterminated by the righteous and the devil. This kind of digging up people's ancestral tombs, no one else would have spared them lightly. Oh no, anti-kings and their corpses wouldn't have been trained by them to become zombies. Kang Qian's heart was abruptly startled. The thought of his beloved ant-king being refined into a zombie sent a chill down his spine. This kind of thing thus not be allowed to happen. After thinking about it, Kang Qian asked Lin Beishan about the details of the incident. His heart was getting heavier and heavier. Wanting to retrieve ant-kings and their corpses didn't seem to be that easy. After some inquiry, Kang Qian finally knew what happened. It turned out that Lin Beishan was able to break through the Jidan stage by relying on a special technique taught to him by the corpse-catching sect, which allowed the demonic beast's inner Dan to be replaced by his own inner Dan, so that he could reach the Jidan stage without having to cross the tribulation. However, this Gong method has a big flaw. With this method of conjugation of the strength of the cultivator is not as strong as the real conjugation of the Dan stage. Their cultivation is even lifelong, cannot be further. Originally, this technique Lin Beishan is not going to use. After all, his talent is good. Relying on their own strength in a few decades will still be able to break through to the Jidan stage. But Li Chunjiao and Kang Qian, two geniuses, appeared, let him feel a huge pressure. The Li family and the Wang family in the next generation have appeared in the great genius. Only their Lin family did not. So continue. Their Lin family will certainly be squeezed by the Li family and the Wang family, and even cannot be in the Heavy Iron City foothold. Lin Beishan was deeply worried, so he decided to give up his future and use this fraud technique to break through the Jidan stage, and then sweep away the Li and Wang families to solve the aftermath. Later on, the Li family migrated out of Heavy Iron City, saving Lin Beishan some effort. And after he emerged from seclusion, he began to unfold the plan that had already been laid out against the Wang family. It could be said that the plan was very complete and smooth, only that he hadn't anticipated the existence of Kang Qian as a variable, so that in the end, he had lost all his efforts. Lin Beishan had told Kang Qian everything without hiding anything. It wasn't without a price that he got the technique from the corpse-catching sect. After all, the corpse-catching sect wouldn't do any good deeds. According to his agreement with the corpse-catching sect, he would be responsible for providing the corpse-catching sect with an unending supply of corpses, while the corpse-catching sect would help them dominate Heavy Iron City. Kang Qian was furious as he listened. By this point he had understood Lin Beishan's purpose. He told himself so easily that he wanted him to go to the corpse-catching sect, and then use the strength of the corpse-catching sect to help him take revenge. This was undoubtedly a young plot, Even if Kang Chon knew Lin Beishan's mind, he had to go. After all, he wouldn't tolerate Ant King and the others being refined into zombies. Kang Chon resisted the anger in his heart and inquired from Lin Beishan about the stronghold of the corpse-catching sect in Heavy Iron City. This guy was happy for him to go and find Death, so he told him in detail where the stronghold was. "Kid, if you have the guts, you go to find Death. The old man is somewhat looking forward to you being refined into a zombie by them. Ha ha ha." Lin Beishan let out a miserable laugh before enduring the pain to break his own meridians, and died. Looking at Lin Beishan, who had already lost his breath, Kang Chon called a temporary subordinate and dragged him out to bury him casually. Corpse-catching sect. Kang Chon was alone in deep thought. From the information he had received from Emperor Dan, this corpse-catching sect, even if it was now in decline, was not something he could deal with right now. However, Ant King's corpse was not to be desecrated. He was definitely going to meet this corpse-catching sect. After discussing with Emperor Dan in his mind, Kang Chon decided to go to the corpse-catching sect's stronghold in Heavy Iron City tonight too. See if Ant King's corpse had been transported out, and then inquire from them about the real strength and headquarters of the corpse-catching sect today. He decided not to tell Grandpa about this matter to save him from worrying. After thinking about it, Kang Chon walked out of the Lin family and went straight to Jinji Auction House. He had some things that he needed the help of Jinji Auction House. Kang Chon was now a celebrity. As soon as he appeared, he was recognized by the maidservants in the Jinji Auction House and hurriedly asked for the person in charge. However, a moment later, a familiar old man came out and laughed when he saw Kang Chon. Young Master Kang Chon is indeed extraordinary. In just half a year, he can knife a Jidan powerhouse. His future is unlimited. This old man was the appraiser that Kang Chon had come to Jinji Auction House to help him appraise the Foundation establishment Dan, and he had taken over Jinji Auction House since Jin San Chao had returned to the capital. Senior is polite, Kang Chon said modestly. He had a good impression of this old man, who had helped him a lot when he purchased the herbs. Young Master Kang Chon is joking. Don't mention the word senior again. With your cultivation nowadays, no one dares to be your senior in the middle of this Heavy Iron City anymore. The old man was very courteous towards Kang Chon. For one thing, Kang Chon had shown enough strength, and for another, he knew that Jin San Chao valued Kang Chon very highly. So he made up his mind that as long as Kang Chon's matters were in order, he would definitely try his best to get them done. I don't know what young Master Kang Chon came here for today. After some politeness, the old man asked directly, knowing that Kang Chon had nothing to do. Kang Chon didn't nag and directly stated his intentions. He wanted to hand over all the properties of the Lin family and the Wong family to the Jinji Auction House to be auctioned off and all exchanged for spirit stones. Nowadays, there were only 2 people left in the entire Wong family, him and Grandpa, so it could be said that they existed in name only. If Kang Chon wanted to branch out, then Wong Tixiong would still be happy to stay in Heavy Iron City to continue developing the Wong family. But with Kang Chon's current talent, he definitely wouldn't consider marriage. So they agreed to sell all their possessions for spirit stones and then go out to make a name for themselves. Wong Tixiong had just broken through the Jidan stage, so he could be said to be full of energy and already had the idea of traveling in his heart. And Kang Chon was even more needless to say. He still had to prepare for the Heavenly Tao Sect's disciple acceptance ceremony 2 years later. Young Master Kang Chon is in a hurry to leave Heavy Iron City, right? If that's the case, I'll immediately send someone over to inventory the records and then acquire them at the right price, saving the auction from wasting time. After hearing this, the old man pondered for a moment and said, "That's very good, right? By the way, help me purchase these herbs." Kang Chon nodded at his words. This was undoubtedly the fastest way, and immediately handed the old man the list that he had already written. The old man briefly scanned through it and found that it was all precious medicinal materials. Knowing that the alchemy master behind Kangtian wanted to make pills, it was just that he was wondering, with such a strong figure behind Kangtian, how could he let Lin Beishan and the others succeed in their plot? Could it be that the alchemy master wasn't in Heavy Iron City at that time? Yes, those alchemy masters' whereabouts are uncertain. I'm afraid that they happened to not be in Heavy Iron City at that time. Poor Wong family, so destroyed, the old man thought in his heart. Kangtian didn't know that the old man had turned such a mind all of a sudden. He slightly politely said a few words. Then he excused himself from the old man's invitation to the heart by saying that he had an important matter to attend to, and then headed back to the Lin family. No, I should say the Wong family. After returning to the Wong family, Kangtian found that Grandpa had already returned, so he spoke to Grandpa about the acquisition of the Qianji auction house, and then the matter was handed over to Grandpa to manage. At night, the cool breeze was like water, and the crows were silent. Kangtian opened his eyes from his cultivation. He quickly changed into his night clothes, carried his long black sword, and quietly left the Wong family, heading towards the stronghold of the corpse-catching sect in Heavy Iron City that Lin Beishan had mentioned. Kangtian's eyes were icy cold. The black long knife in his hand flashed with an icy cold aura in the dark night. The knife used by this puppet was a spiritual weapon, only that he had not formed a Dan now, and was unable to refine it. So he was unable to bring out the strongest power of this knife. However, no matter what, this knife was also a spiritual weapon, and both its hardness and sharpness far exceeded those lowly magic treasures. In the cultivation world, cultivators' weapons were divided into 3 levels. The lowest level was the magic treasures. They were much more powerful than mortals' weapons, but they were also limited. Above the magic treasures are the spirit weapons, which are very powerful, and only strong people above the Yuanying stage are qualified to have them. Above the spirit weapons are the treasure weapons. They are the strongest weapons that cultivators can make. They do not have the power to destroy mountains and seas. Of course, legend has it that there are immortal weapons left behind by immortals in the cultivation world that are powerful enough to destroy the sky and the earth, but they are rare and have only appeared in legends. Mass Grave. Located in the southeast of Heavy Iron City 30 miles, there is a mass grave. Here white bones everywhere, overgrown weeds, into the eyes of a hell scene. Kangtian sneaked all the way here, closing his breath and gazing, secretly observing the mass grave in front of him. This mass grave covered an extremely wide area and was said to have a history of several hundred years, and the yin qi accumulated over 100 years had made this place very gloomy, and the corpse qi rushed to the sky. At this moment, the night wind came, carrying with it an eerie and sinister aura, making one's fur stand on end. Kangtian was bold in his art and stepped on the countless white bones, quietly scanning the surroundings. According to Lin Beishan, the stronghold of the corpse-catching sect in Heavy Iron City was located here. But at this moment, he saw nothing but white bones everywhere. Kangtian's heart was suddenly puzzled. According to reason, Lin Beishan could not have lied to him. Could it be that the people of the corpse-catching sect knew that Lin Beishan had been killed, and worried about exposing their strongholds, they had withdrawn first? There was indeed this possibility. Kangtian continued to advance, carefully surveying his surroundings, searching for the stronghold of the corpse-catching sect. In the darkness of the night, bits of starlight spilled down, shining on top of the white bones all over the ground, revealing a strange halo. The surrounding world was silent, with only the sound of bones breaking coming from underfoot. Suddenly, a hoarse voice came along with the gloomy wind, and Kangtian was instantly on guard. Midnight catching corpses. Living people do not approach. This sudden voice, as the living dead mouth out of the words, in this gloomy place, seemed more morose horror. Kangtian felt a burst of creepy. Bravely towards the surrounding angrily shouted, who is here to play God. The surroundings were all quiet. No silhouette appeared, but there was a hint of a hoarse voice. "Kid, you shouldn't be here." This voice sounded like a ghost crying and hissing, very scary. The gloomy winds suddenly rose around them, adding a sense of eeriness and terror. Kang Tian eyed his surroundings, searching for the source of the voice, but the voice seemed to be coming from all directions, leaving him nowhere to look. This is undoubtedly an expert, Kang Tian thought in his heart. There is no place in Heavy Iron City that I, Kang Tian, cannot go to. Your Excellency is hiding his head and tail. Is he not ashamed to meet people? Seeing that he couldn't find anyone, Kang Tian used words to stimulate, his face full of mockery.